Microsoft. Welcome to OnPodcast, the On Microsoft podcast, where we talk about Microsoft stuff on a podcast. I'm your host today, Kareem Anderson, and I'm joined by,
David Allen, editor
yeah,
and writer for OnMicrosoft.com.
yeah, we have a new face. He will be joining me for as long as he can. We brought him on because, well, me talking to you guys by myself can get kind of boring. So why not have another friendly face? We will still be sticking to the same format we kind of had before, where we have an open discussion. But instead of, again, me just reading, plowing through the headlines with myself, I have a friend now, and you guys have a new friend now. So everyone say welcome, and let's get started with our opening discussion, shall we?
Let's
We're gonna be
do it.
talking. Yeah, let's. We're gonna be talking about Zoom giving Microsoft a run for its money. This is a piece that was written earlier this week, just because news dropped about it. Looks like Zoom and Microsoft are racing towards kind of a crossroads at rapid speeds, where they're kind of wanting to encroach on each other's territory. Microsoft has Teams where they want to get in more visible into video conferencing, and it looks like now because of what we found out from Zoomtopia, which is a very questionable title for a conference. Zoom wants to get into email. Earlier this week, Zoom announced at its annual Zoomtopia event that it will be adding email and calendar clients in beta, which is unrelated to this what I'm about to get into. But they also had Grammy-winning music producer Timberland there as a guest speaker. I don't know why you would have him there, but what do you think about that?
Well, I don't know. I think Zoom will have a place in the market for this, but they are entering a crowded market. I mean, we have, the Microsoft Cloud, Microsoft 365, we have Google Workspace, we have the Slack and Salesforce combination out there. But then again, when we had the pandemic, Zoom was what everybody went to. Zoom was the one that had the biggest problem. So I think that, it's a well enough known name that they'll get their slice of the pie. But I think they're going to have a hard time competing with Microsoft and Google and even Slack that is already established. Companies are already paying for it. So they're going to have to give them a reason to say, hey, drop your current setups and come try ours. I think they'll
Well,
struggle at that point.
let's give everyone a little bit of details about what they're at least trying to offer before we kind of usher them under the table. We have, according to the Zoom blog and what they spoke about at Zoomtopia, which again I was in attendance for, but we do have information about Zoom Mail and clients and Zoom Mail and calendar services will work together with communication and collaboration offerings already available with Zoom meetings, phone, whiteboard, and team chat within Zoom. Now, teams can move quickly and seamlessly from email to video meetings, elevate a chat message to a phone, collaborate on projects, and early next year, Zoom will share about Zoom users will be able to share stuff through Whiteboard, I guess, all without ever leaving the Zoom app. That's their preferred talking points. According again to the writer of the blog, um, this will be offered as a free service to both paid Zoom, I guess, Zoom users and free Zoom users. They will be able to freely integrate Zoom Mail and Calendar in the beta form with their existing email clients from third-party email services such as Outlook, Gmail, whoever the hell is using Thunderbird. And while it may seem trivial, because again, most things that are interoperable seem to just be given these days, it is what they consider a savings on the toggle tax, which is jumping back and forth between any type of service. And according to the Harvard Business Review, employees spend almost about 4 hours a week reorienting themselves after toggling between applications, which means that we're all basically just super inefficient at work. But Zoom is looking to kind of fix that. Anyhow, how this ties into Microsoft is basically what they're offering. As you mentioned a second ago, Dave, is that we have the Mail client, which again basically just looks and runs like Mail does for anybody who's on like a Mac OS or anybody who's got like the generic Mail app on like like a Samsung device or something like that. It basically is just a masking feature over all the integrated accounts that you can put into it. The same thing for the client. Now, where things kind of get dicey as far as Microsoft and Zoom competing is that they will be offering Zoom Mail Service, which is a hosted email, which has enhanced privacy, end-to-end encryption, 15 gigabytes of email storage for Zoom Pro or Zoom United users, 100 gigabytes for Zoom One business tiers or higher, and Zoom Calendar Services, which again will be Zoom hosted calendar, allowing teams to schedule and follow up on meetings, integrate with the Zoom app, appointment booking features, and the unified calendar experience. That's where it starts to get into Exchange territory.
Starts to sound a lot like Exchange, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And to combat this, Microsoft, I wouldn't say combat, but Microsoft has had stuff in the workings. And as of last week, I want to say that uh, they rolled out their PWA, which had general availability for Linux users. So, they're working outside of just the traditional Windows operating system tying into Teams. They're trying to go multiple platforms. They've also introduced content sharing via new pop-out windows during meetings. They added support for 40 languages and live translation captions, a new companion mode for Android users. So basically, if you're on the phone or an Android tablet, you can still get all of the same features, such as access to chat, live reactions, and Microsoft Whiteboard. So both of these people are moving pretty quickly. But again, Dave, you also mentioned that we have Slack, which is the 200-pound elephant in the room that is also doing things as well. I mean, they've been a bit quiet since they've been acquired by Salesforce, but I'm sure they're just integrating a bunch of things to all kind of crowd the market.
I think the biggest problem here, I mean, looking at our company, is there's got to be a reason for somebody to switch.
Agreed.
It's either got to be a feature, an integration, a service, or per user pricing, or some sort of model to say, hey, move my entire company over to a new platform, have to train my employees, learn how it integrates with our products, and go from there. Most businesses, in my opinion, that have these, they're already integrated, and it's muscle memory every day at this point as to how to log in and do what they need to do. And I think for Zoom or anybody, it would be tough to enter this market. So I do applaud them for at least going after their slice of the pie.
Yeah, I would say if I'm, I don't say I kind of dislike the phrase devil's advocate, but just looking at an opportunity for Zoom is maybe the user experience. As I mentioned, their free tier stuff is basically a masking client for email. So if all it takes is for you to type in, your Outlook name plus your password, and now it's in this nice user-friendly interface versus the kind of kludgy Exchange or Outlook. And since we don't have the new unified Outlook, if people start to get used to that, they may prefer that. And at some point, that'll be, employees saying, you know what, I save time not having to deal with Exchange or Gmail or any of the labels or any of the filter things. I like using this client. Can we just everybody move over? And I think if you get enough employees and an admin who is willing to kind of shoulder the transition, that could be big enough for people, I think.
And two, we have to look at it, like you said, from a CEO's point of view and say, look, there's some of these companies these days that they calculate time. If it takes an hour out of a day for everybody to work through the platform, or 30 minutes or whatever, and like you said, if everything's right there together, that time is not taken anymore. You've got more productivity that the CEOs and the higher ups in the company notice and say, look, it may be worth, like you said, the effort.
With that being said, we're gonna let you guys kind of throw your opinions in the comments, or if you want to throw it in some of the comments in the written article itself, and let us know what you guys think. If just judging by the screenshots, or if you are a Zoom user, if this is something you might be interested in, or if you think Microsoft has this section locked down and it's pretty much a done deal. Let us know. But we're going to be moving on to our headlines. What's your first headline for the week?
My first headline for the week is iCloud integration is now jumping into Windows, and it's mainly for Photos, folks. It's for the people with the new Photos app. The new Photos app has started rolling out for Microsoft Windows 2022 with a nice, neat interface to make all your photos and medias look a lot more attractive. And Microsoft has said, hey, there's all these people out there with iPhones taking all of these photos. If we want them to use our operating system and our Photos app, then we better come up with a way for them to easily move their photos in. Now, I'm going to be honest. I'm not sure this is a, monumental feature. I'm not sure there's Windows users out there saying, hey, I can't wait for that iCloud integration to suddenly use Microsoft Photos to share my photos, but it's easy to do. You get your Photos app, which rolls out this month. You can update it in the Microsoft Store. You get the iCloud for Windows integration app, and you sign into your iCloud account and you plug in your iPhone. And kind of follow the prompts and take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, there may not be a ton of Windows users out there like that, but I do know that there's a cross-section between iPhone users and just Windows, people who own Windows PCs. And I think I wrote about this a few months back, that it's weird that there's now become a divide between how we view our media on our phone and how we view our media on our computer. Unless you're a photographer or someone who does content creation or something like that, most of the time, most people view and keep their photos and that photo experience on their phone. The screens are nicer, the saturation, all those filters and things are built into the phone itself. You share them via the phone. You say, look at my phone, look at this picture. You rarely go to let me see what this looks like in 16:9, or things like that. So again, there may be, a very small section, but I think it's for those people who will need it, it's very appreciated.
Not to go off topic here, but I think the big thing that could change things if Google Photos did something, very similar, and there was some kind of integration there, then you might see, maybe a bigger adoption to getting these photos back and forth off of PC.
Oh, I totally agree. Yeah, we got to see if the those two companies can work on a web app solution, hopefully soon. Following up, we got a lot of Halo Infinite news. I'm going to try and sum it up as quickly as I can so it can keep us rolling, but we got about 3 headlines wrapped into one. The first one being Halo Infinite Winter's update hit consoles earlier this week and almost immediately started breaking consoles. So there's that. Before we get into what's wrong with the update, let's go over what should have been right, I guess. The winter update for Halo brings a beta version of the Forge for people who were really good at being DMs for Dungeons and Dragons or aspiring civil engineers, people who like to create worlds, essentially. Players now have the ability to craft their maps, modes, and prefabs amongst 6 established environments. So you can just build out however you want the environment to be, what kind of guns are around, what kind of landscape there is, what kind of traps there might be, all the cool stuff, what kind of perches there are for snipers and whatnot. Next up is the Match XP, which is being delivered in a beta as well that involves a new progression experience aimed at rewarding players for completing matches via a series of win-lose placements during a match. A new multiplayer map and game mode support for 2 new maps that were built actually using the custom in-game Forge platform. So you can kind of get an example of what could be done if you had tons of game engineers and a bunch of time and money. And I believe the other thing that we're seeing is while we're not getting couch co-op, we are getting campaign network co-op. So you can, and mission replay. So you can play with friends, up to about 4, I believe, online. And you can go through the campaign mode. You can replay missions that you've already completed, and you can play with those 4 people if you've ever replayed it, or if you ever want to replay a mission that was, thwarted by one of your friends being a crap driver using the Warthog, or if other people were using excessive friendly fire in your direction. Last up are the new achievements, which number about 24. I'm not going to go through all of them, but some of them include getting at least 1 kill with every available weapon and grenade in the game, which I'm going to try and do. Killing an enemy with a banished mining laser, which is relatively tough. Eliminating all the enemies in the South Beacon with a Scorpion tank. Co-op completion of the 7 banished outposts, and like I said, a whole bunch more. All in all, should have been a pretty fun update for most Halo game users or players. That is, if it didn't require a hard reboot. This is the second headline, which I mentioned at the top. Apparently, some Xbox insiders have been venting their frustrations with the Halo Infinite Winter Update on the Reddit group, with noting that after playing the game, there's not their console, not just the game, but the console became sluggish, unresponsive, and needed a hard reboot. Seems to be the issue for a lot of them. The other thing, other players noted that the heads-up displays in the Xbox UI disappeared, along with unresponsive controller issues. So it's a plethora of issues following this update. I don't know exactly what the pinpoint the issue is, but I do believe that Microsoft has a a note in the feedback app for insiders. Again, this is having in insiders, not to regular people who I guess aren't insiders in using the Xbox. Again, it's between alpha and Delta Ring users for the most part. So if you aren't an Xbox insider, you probably don't have to worry about it. Maybe there's something about the build numbers or feature sets for future builds that are having issues with this current update. And the last bit of Halo news that's on the docket is an admission from Matt Booty of Microsoft Studios that bringing couch co-op, which I like to say, but most people refer to as local co-op, was about 80% done before the studio shelved it. So I think it was 2 weeks ago, we talked about people who glitched into the co-op matrix and were playing the game. It's an unfinished version that they were playing. The feature looks like it actually won't be making it to the system anytime soon, despite it being 80% done. Quote, we of course are working on a local campaign co-op for many months and many years. There are a lot of challenges there from a technical perspective, and what people were able to glitch into is probably 80% complete. But the amount of work from us to get from 80% to 100% quality is significant. And the amount of effort that would take right now is something that we cannot commit to, and I'm not sure how long it would even take, to be honest. Now, again, he's saying the main issue following his decision on that and the group's decision is that they just wouldn't be able to support all the platform configurations that could be out there. And I think this might be kind of a tail sign of having to support the Xbox Series S. Perhaps it's also another tail sign of the engine that they're using. I know it's not Unreal, it's a proprietary thing that they've been using for a while, but we've written about devs that are having issues with it, and it's also leading to rumors that Microsoft could jump ship for the next Halo franchise and use Unreal because of these issues. I don't know, what are your thoughts about this whole one, broken update, two, potentially moving to Unreal Engine?
Well, the broken update, I hope they fix it all. I mean, I think everybody does, and I think maybe the QA team over there may have, fallen asleep a little bit. I have downloaded the update myself and did experience the same issues, and as a gamer, that's frustrating. But as far as the engine, I'm gonna be honest, I miss my couch Halo. That's how I got started, was me and my brother sitting on a couch, on just a regular old CRT television. I'm sure some of you out there watching remember that, where you're on the top and your brother's on the bottom, and you're going around, working through the campaign. I mean, those are some of my most fond memories. So I would be okay if it brings the couch co-op back. Sure, let's jump to a new engine and let's give it a shot. I do think, updating and having to, and it's been in the news here lately with having to bouncing between the Series S and the Series X, holding back development. Could that be why? I mean, we don't know, but it makes you think about it. I'll take whatever puts couch co-op back in the game.
You and me, brother. What do you got for our next deadline?
Next, we're going from gaming back to working. I'm sorry, folks, but you can get a free Windows 11 2022 virtual machine until January of 2023. That is January 10th of 2023. And I guess, looking at it, thinking about it a little bit, I guess Microsoft is giving us some time to work over the holidays, maybe. So I'm not sure, how many of these that they're going to toss out there, but what they're doing is they're giving you Windows 11, they're giving you Virtual Studio 2022, That does come with the Windows system for Linux, of course. You're getting Windows Terminal and Developer Mode installed and ready to go for those VMs. Now, you will need Hyper-V and 20 gigs of space. You can use VMware, VirtualBox, and Parallels if you're a Mac user to get these up and running. So if you're a developer out there just looking to say, hey, I want to jump in, get my feet wet with Windows 11, now's your opportunity. If you want to work over the holidays, it won't cost you a dime. Jump in there, give it a shot.
Sounds good. Speaking of developers, we have an open source developer, author, and lawyer who's attempting to stop Microsoft from pirating the work of potentially millions of GitHub users with a new class action lawsuit. Developer and lawyer Matthew Buttrick, I apologize if I'm saying it entirely incorrect. Do not sue me, Matthew. Joined forces with class action litigators Joseph Saveri law firm in California to file a suit alleging that Microsoft is in conjunction with GitHub and open source AI are exploiting GitHub developers by pirating the code for use in the collaborative Copilot project. Now, we've written about Copilot, I don't know, maybe about 6 or 7 times in the last 2 weeks, so there's a lot of news about it. But for those of you who may have missed it or didn't really care about it, I'm going to bring it back to you with a little refresher. Copilot is designed to leverage the GitHub open source library to help build autonomous code projects based on natural language queries. The plan is to help automate the more mundane aspects of code writing for larger projects, such as, generating dialogue for hundreds of NPC characters in a video game by simply typing in, "I need NPC dialogue," and it'll use algorithms and AI to build out these dialogues, and you won't have to do all of that crazy coding and hours worth of time, and it could save studios on again, like we said, about hours of development. However, Buttrick found that the project seemingly violated GitHub's own policies about piracy, as well as the California Piracy Act and the DCMA 1202, which addresses copyright management. Buttrick he has an uphill battle. He's got to go against the cavalcade of Microsoft lawyers and their infinite pockets, so we'll see how well this goes. But he's getting prepared for this long haul fight by planning an amendment to the original complaint to add even more people to the claim. Going through the policies myself, having written about this and now researching the policies, it does look like Microsoft may be infringing on its own company, surprisingly, now that they are the auteurs of GitHub. So it'll be interesting to see how they deal with this and what changes they'll make in the future for Copilot, because it does seem like a well-needed service for a lot of people who are looking to get in development at scale. What do you got for us next?
Well, I will throw in this. You reminded me of something there. Usually when Microsoft gets themselves in hot water like this, you find, or any company for that matter, you find they buy the problem. So that could be something we see here too, maybe. Who knows?
Could be next steps, correct.
But next let's go back, since Kareem here was talking about work some more, let's go back to having a little fun. We have Netflix looking to create a live action movie for Gears of War along with an animated series. This week, Gears of War celebrated 16 years. Man, makes me feel old because I remember putting that first disc in my box. Right. And Netflix is looking to create that movie. There's no release date or anything like that. We do know that Dave Bautista, who was one of the main voices in Gears of War, is looking to get in on the act. He has made it clear in various outlets that says, hey, look, please cast me for the role here. So we will see what happens. We've not really heard anything from the Gears of War franchise since Gears of War Tactics back in 2020. So it makes us wonder. We've got a new movie coming out. Netflix is doing it. Netflix has had success with taking IPs like this. They did it with Castlevania, for one. That was successful, so they know what they're doing. So do we see a new game? Do we see a new movie? We'll have to wait and see. We're pretty sure the movie's coming. I'm not so sure about the game. What about you?
Yeah, I am. Again, I think a new game is coming. I have no doubt about that, especially if you're a fan of Halo and you moved over to Gears of War, I know that Microsoft sees it as their second tier IP that brings people to the console. Um, I'm hoping that we get some cool art form like we did for Arcane, which brought in not only me as a viewer and a fan now of the game, but got all kinds of awards for Netflix and got awards for the studio. So, I mean, Netflix has the money. It looks like they have the patience for it. Thank God this isn't on HBO because it would be in the trash can by now.
Yep.
So let's hope we get some great animation from this, and it brings a lot of awareness to the game itself. Maybe we'll get more people once this new version of Gears of War comes out, because people will say, I remember the cartoon, I remember that movie.
It made me think of, this is kind of funny, but it made me think of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because I remember back when they came out, I remember playing the old video game that matched the cartoon.
Me too. And that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe, we use one to market the other. It's a very smart approach.
I think it might work.
Okay. I think it will. I have faith in this, fingers crossed. My last headline is back to business a little bit more, because this is Microsoft and that's kind of what they're known for, is Ivan Gaming, is that away from lawsuits and on to more creative endeavors, Microsoft teased a new creative experience last month and is dropping it in a preview this week. So Microsoft Create, which is the experience that they talked about, I believe in October, is now available in preview as a web-based tool to help users, businesses, and customers create a wide range of content that includes quick social media posts, videos, presentations, flyers, and more. The site has a rather long list of pre-made templates that people can start off with. You can filter through those templates via categories, styles, or just show colors. It's pretty awesome. I would advise people to go check it out. The only catch is that Microsoft Create is only available to Microsoft 365 subscribers at the moment. Another issue some people might run into is that it's English only now. I know that I'm in the US, I think Dave's in the US, and we have a lot of writers in the US, so I mean, a lot of Microsoft products are US centric, and we tend not to talk about international markets, and that is not by choice, it's just the nature of the business. So hopefully Microsoft kind of fixes that, addresses that, and starts making it available in more languages. They tend to be pretty good stewards of that. But if those two things are deterrents for you, I suggest that you head over to create.microsoft.com to get started. If you're a social media marketing person and you had a project that was due last month, you've been procrastinating because you couldn't find the time to get creative, check out a template. It might save you some time.
I've already used this once this week, in fact, after we put up our post. And something I will throw out there for the Adobe users out there, it used to be Adobe Spark. I think it's now been renamed Adobe Express.
Yes.
You'll notice that Microsoft Create and Adobe Express behave and look a lot alike. So the future could be bright for that product.
Could be. And what else do you got for us?
Got one more.
All right.
I'm kind of the fun one of the group, I guess. We'll go back to gaming here. We have the 40th edition of Microsoft Flight Simulator, the 40th anniversary edition, that is out today, even for our Game Pass users. And I'll go over just a few things here that you get new. I won't read the whole list. You get one true-to-life Airbus A310. You get 2 helicopters and 14 heliports, 2 gliders and 15 glider airports, and I'll leave the rest. You can go check out our article at onmicrosoft.com. But something I wanted to throw out, I can remember back in the day, it's good to see this game back alive again. We went several years there without any updates. I personally remember taking the old 3.5-inch floppies and feeding them into my PC just to be able to, get the flying experience. So I'm glad to see this get to the 40th anniversary, and I'm glad to see it out on Game Pass so everybody can get the experience.
I mean, I am not all business. I can be a little bit fun, but sadly, I am still thinking business as you mentioned this, and I've been saying this for a while now. I think Microsoft needs to corner the simulation market. I'm not saying that they haven't already, but I think that could be their big play. There are studios that corner RPGs, There are studios that corner first-person shooters. I think Microsoft should also be known for simulators, and I think that plays heavily into making content that will be useful in whatever metaverse that rises to the top, because it's already built. It's a simulator. It's built for the replication of our current world, just in a more fun, animated sort of way. So if they can start making more simulator type things, I think there was like a goat, there's been a goat simulator, there's been a cat simulator, there's been cooking simulators, there's been, Microsoft Flight Simulator, which is, award winning. If they can start getting studios together to make these things and make them, part of Game Pass, things like that, and introducing people to simulators as a fun aspect of gaming, when they start to say, hey, that simulator game is also in VR or AR or whatever, I think that's their pitch into like making the end around into making those kind of experiences more mainstream. That's been my pitch. I'm going to stick to it. You hear that, Satya?
I totally agree with your pitch there, my friend. Just look at the technology. If you have used Flight Simulator, look at the technology behind it, how real time it is. They're using Azure, they're using the cloud to make it all happen. They're crunching the data of terrain, places. You will see actual flights that are in flight go by your airplane. I have seen that happen, and to me, it doesn't get any more real than that.
I agree. And on that note, we've come to the end of our pod. So I want to thank everybody for spending a little time with me and Dave. I want everyone to get to know you. So I want you all to return. If you haven't, hit our subscribe button for more content. We'll give you updates. We also write posts to kind of let you know when we're going to be featuring things. Do you have anything to say to anybody, Dave?
I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I appreciate you for letting me join you. And maybe we can have some more fun next week, and we'll do it again.
Yeah, everyone go out and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you.